How to heal from the death of your parent. The loss of a parent has an incredible impact on the individual. The impact of losing a parent can affect your present experience, your future hopes, and your expectations. You feel like there's a sense of the loss of the past because there's so many memories and questions and thoughts that you have related to your past that only your parent could explain. And now they're no longer here to give you that kind of insight or to share those memories with you. Without our parent or parental figure, there are needs that are not being met at key moments in our lives. And it's not until those moments, for example, your birthdays or weddings or the birth of a child, that we feel the impact of that loss even more so. When we lose a parent, one of the things that we lose is someone who's there to validate our accomplishments. So that when we get that, perfect grade, or when we succeed and get a certification, or we graduate, that's the person that we know that we can come to, and they'll always be happy for our success. They celebrate our successes sometimes more than we would. And we know that if no one else is around, that our parent would be present at our celebrations. They'll have a front row seat, and they'll be the loudest one in the room, and they'll be taking the most pictures. And the loss of a parent reminds you that you won't have that anymore. It also reminds you that you don't have someone to provide that reality check. Sometimes we have these great ideas, but not until we run it by one of our parents that we realize, wait a minute, that idea that I thought was so great may not be the best idea. And they have the ability to provide us the reality check that we need while still encouraging us to take risks. There's a sense of loss of emotional security because you're having a person there who's able to express what they feel, what they know to be true, but also allow you to express yourself and be authentic in their present. And then you're missing a mentor and a friend in your life during key decision-making points. There's a sense that, if I'm trying to remember something that happened in my past, who's going to be able to fill in the gaps for me? So now I'm losing memories, and I'm losing someone who can begin to put the pieces together. And there's a sense that there are stories that have not yet been told about the family, about my past, and I want answers to those. And I can't have that anymore because my parent is no longer here. There's a sense of loss of the ideal parent, because who do you look to on how to parent? What's the right thing to say to your child? How do you raise your child? Who do you go to when you're trying to figure out, are you doing it right? Are you doing it wrong? Or what do you need to fix? And that's missing when you lose a parent. With grief, there is a messy beginning and a messy middle. And there's never an end to grief. There's just a place where it's calm, it's integrated, and that love is being carried with you throughout your life. And that love experience that you have with your loved one is being used to produce a beautiful memory, a legacy, and have impact on the lives of others. But if you're in that messy beginning and maybe even messier middle, where there's feelings of depression or sadness, anxiety, a sense of insecurity because you're not sure how this day is going to play out or what the next month or year is going to look like, where you might find yourself resorting to substances and alcohol to help you cope, and it's becoming to the point where you're developing a dependency on these things. Or you find yourself going between anger and guilt and shame and rage and feelings of isolation and all this negative thinking. These are things that put you at risk. And these are the things that if you're experiencing any one of them, that it's important to reach out and get help. It's important to get the help of a licensed professional, especially someone who specializes in grief and loss, to help you walk through and also work through these emotions and these feelings and these thoughts, and to really begin to assess how much of an issue substances has become in your life if you're dealing with substances, or how deep is your sadness, has it developed into depression or long-term anxiety. And if that's the case, then I really advise you to get professional help to see the state of where you are emotionally and mentally, and to get the assistance that you need to build the coping skills, the strength, the resiliency that you need to go through the process of grief. It's important that if you feel yourself stuck, not wanting to get out of bed, that you get help immediately. At the end of this presentation, There's information to help you to get more further help. It's important to also look at talking to your friends, family, clergy, and also getting connected to a grief group in your area so that you have a safe place that you can talk to people who are experiencing loss just like you are. And some of them are further in their process, and some of them are just right where you're at. And get connected, share the story, tell the story. Don't just hold on to these thoughts and these feelings. Express them with people who are safe and who can give you good feedback and also sit with you as you experience the feelings that you're experiencing and get you connected to the help that you need. The loss of love is why you grieve. Love is needed to repair the wound. Learning to love yourself, learning to love others, and finding a reason to love again. The loss is not final if you consider the power of the relationship transcends the human experience. The work of grief is to move love from a present, available emotional attachment experience with another person to a permanent experience of love carried into the future. It is possible, but the process has to happen. The process of experiencing love changing requires processing the feelings that you're having right now. Processing the feelings of anger, rage, of guilt, of numbness, of anxiousness, of a broken heart, of feeling as if your parent was taken away from you too soon. Working through those feelings, processing those feelings is what's going to allow for that love relationship that you have with your parent to be able to be carried into the future. So that when you have memories of your parent, that those memories are not tied into the memory of the trauma of the loss. You want to be able to separate and you want to heal from the trauma, but have good, lasting memories of your loved one. The healing process is different from everyone. Now, although there are stages of grief, no one goes through these stages of grief the same way. And the healing process is going to require that you start with where you're at. And oftentimes, people have to start with learning how to manage the pain. Because the pain of losing someone you love can be so great. The pain of the loss, the sense of abandonment, betrayal, the loneliness can be so great that we have to begin to learn how to manage that pain so that we can then begin to work through the feelings. And part of managing the pain is knowing your limits and not taking on anything extra, instituting boundaries with friends, with family, with coworkers, so that you're able to have enough strength to manage and be able to regulate your pain, your emotions, and not have to worry about taking on the emotions of everyone else, not having to worry about making other people feel good while you're trying to figure out how you get back to a state of stability, to a state of peace. It's important that you begin to create your own rituals, because one of the things that death introduces is a loss of control, a sense of life being unpredictable, unfair, and it produces a stress and a certain anxiety that comes where you start to expect that bad things are going to happen. This bad thing happens, so now I expect more bad things to happen. And there's a loss of trust. There's a loss of trust in whether it be a spiritual relationship, trust in others, and there's a sense of loss of trust in yourself because you realize that you're not able to control life, that bad things does happen to good people and bad things happen to people who are not so good, but you have no control over that, and life will seem unfair. So one of the ways to begin to feel a sense of control, one of the ways to get back some of the pain and turn that pain into power and turn that pain and make it productive, is to begin to create your own rituals. And some of those rituals will be very small things that help you to get out of bed, that help you to begin to just get through the next hour, the next day. But there's small rituals that give you a sense of purpose, a sense of direction, and you can see yourself starting and finishing. Whether it's making a 2-item to-do list. Today I'm going to do 2 things. And maybe one of them is just go for a walk. And the other thing is to call a friend or write in a journal. But create your own small rituals. It's important that you have daily rituals to give you something to look forward to doing each and every day, but also something that you can control and it's manageable. And as you begin to do those manageable small things, then you can start to add on and you can start doing bigger things. It's also important to create rituals that help you to hold on to the memory of your loved one in the most positive way. Rituals that help you to see the things that they've taught you, the impressions that they've left you, the gift that's been given to you in their living. And so it's important to think about what are some new rituals that you want to create as part of your healing process. It's also important to give permission to yourself to explore your questions about faith and spirituality, to explore the answers and the questions that you may have related to where was God, what does this all mean? Why me? Why now? And how does this now impact your faith? It's important to give yourself that permission to explore those questions. In the healing process, it is really important to celebrate the life of your parent because this allows you to show honor, but it also allows you to experience in those celebrations good memories and to reframe your thinking because your mind is always going to go to the worst possible thoughts and you want to be able to capture those thoughts and you want to be able to change those thoughts and guide and direct where your mind goes. Because where your mind goes, your emotions are going to follow and you're going to have behavior that follows suit. So if your mind is always thinking negative, your behavior is going to reflect that negative thinking. It's going to reflect the anger, the sadness, depression. It's going to reflect those tough feelings. And so to be able to capture that mind and capture those thoughts and change them, we're going to have to do things like celebrate the life of your parent. Relive the positive memories. Build a memory box where you can begin to celebrate the life of your parent by keeping in that box things that are specific to the memories of your parent, things that highlight the lessons that they've taught you, what they've left you, things that make you laugh and smile, things that are unique to who they are. And if you had to describe them to somebody else and just had this box, that you could take this box and take the things out of the box and be able to say, oh yeah, this symbolizes that. And this reminds me of this moment, this memory with my parent. It's important that as you go through the process to not compare your grief with others. There's a temptation that will come where you'll be comparing your grief to that of your siblings, or you'll be comparing your grief to that of their siblings or of an aunt or uncle, another family member. Everyone grieves differently. Where some people will cry and will express it outwardly, other people will go inwardly and isolate and be quieter about it. And you may think that they're somehow moving through faster than you are, but they may or may not be. But they just express it differently. Some people will talk about it and other people will keep it in. And so it's important not to compare your grief to others and not to expect yourself to move through grief fast, because you may have had a lifetime with this person, or you may have had a shorter experience with them, but it doesn't mean that it's not about the time that you had with them. It's about the meaning that they had in your life. And so you can't put a time limit on your grief. You can't put a time limit on your healing process. Give yourself the time that you need and don't compare your grief to other people. It's important that you respect your process as well as their process and that they do the same for you. Connections are very, very important as you go through the healing process, because one of the things that has been done to you with the loss of your parent is that connection was broken. And so in order for healing to take place, you need to be connected to other types of relationships so you can draw strength from that relationship. And connecting to your siblings, to other family members, and honoring your loved one and talking about them and talking about how your parent, what they meant to your aunt, your uncle, what they meant to your brother or your sister, what they meant to other people in the neighborhood, people they knew, people in the community. That's important. It's important to be able to speak well of them and to be able to connect to other people who knew them and who knew them maybe in a different way than you did, who experienced them differently, but can share some of the best memories that they've had with them. And that helps you to feel connected, and it helps everyone to grieve and heal a little bit more each day. It's important to explore forgiveness and the aspect of forgiveness that helps you to forgive yourself and forgive others, because there's going to be a lot of unanswered questions and there's going to be a lot of pain and anger and hurt that's associated with grieving. And so explore the issue of forgiveness. If there's any unforgiveness towards anyone in your life or towards yourself, explore that. Explore why you won't forgive yourself. Explore the things that you're holding yourself accountable for that may have not been your fault, and may have not been your parents' fault or anyone else's fault. And so look into that, because that's going to be important for your healing process. It's important that we forgive others and don't have unfair expectation of them or ourselves. And so as we do that, the family is able to grow closer together. And it helps to forgive, helps to stop any further fracturing of the family. It helps to stop any further inflicting of pain or blame, and begins to help you to move past and move through unresolved pain and move to a place where you're in control, a place where you feel freer. And so we also want to look at expanding your world. And that can be done by trying new things outside the ordinary, picking up a new skill, a new hobby that's going to engage your brain and gets you out and doing things and thinking about something other than grief. It's important that, because what grief will do will make your world feel like it's become super small and enclosed. And after a while, grief even gets heavy, like a big heavy blanket that's been thrown on top of you. And what you want to do is you want to expand. You want to expand your world so that you can begin to experience it again. Because it's going to feel like life has lost its flavor. Like nothing is interesting or fun or motivating you anymore. And so as you begin to expand your world by trying something new, even if at the beginning you're not sure if you're going to like it, but it's something that you've wanted to do and you're just going to test it out and you're going to take it slowly. Just engaging, just trying, just doing something different will help you to alleviate some of those feelings that you have and begin to bring some positive feelings, because you're going to have a new experience and you're going to use a new part of your brain, a new skill, a new tool, a new talent that you haven't experienced before. And it's something new, helping you to find strength and helping you to find moments of peace, moments of surrender, moments of joy as you go through your healing process. I like to say that on the other side of pain is power. Power to make a decision about how you want your life to be. Power to tell the story of your loved one and to have their memory and their influence and their impact live forever. Power to touch the lives of other people who have experienced the loss of a parent and allow them the room to be able to share the sacredness of their pain and their story. So power can come in you being present for others and others being present for you. Power can come from a relationship that wasn't a well-defined relationship, but now, because you've experienced this loss together of someone you both love, it becomes a deeper relationship, a deeper experience. There is so much waiting for you as you go through this process. And I believe that you're going to go through it successfully. I believe that you're going to lead, launch, and live life effectively. So take a hold of some of the resources that are available and work through the grieving process and begin to incorporate the memory and the love that was once present with you into a permanent experience in your future.